Now, with the NFL season officially over, there's plenty of moves that you won't believe coming to the league this offseason. One of the biggest stories recently surrounding offseason moves in the NFL is none other than LeVeon Bell. Obviously, a lot of controversy was surrounding his name over the last year, where he held out the entire 2018 offseason waiting for a contract that he felt that he deserved, which led to him to switch organizations from the Steelers to the Jets this year. But it looks like once again, he's on the move. After he signed a $52 million deal in New York earlier this year, many criticized this move because of LeVeon purposely going to a losing Jets team that had no shot at contention in the upcoming year, and because of this team being significantly worse than the Pittsburgh team LeVeon was a part of. His numbers are the lowest they've been in years as well. But leading into this year's trade deadline, the Jets in fact began shopping Bell around and many teams were interested. LeVeon himself actually addressed all of the rumors on an uninterrupted 17-week podcast, saying, "There's a lot of trade speculation and rumors about, me getting traded obviously from the Jets to other multiple teams, and they're actually true. There are times that I found out through my agent that he talked to the Jets, and there are teams like Houston and Packers and Kansas City Chiefs, and surprisingly the Steelers were all in the mix trying to trade for me. The Jets were really asking for a high price and a lot for me. And on top of that, my actual contract was kind of tough for teams to deal with, which is understandable. Not too many teams want to pay that high of a price for a running back. And one of the main reasons the Jets are willing to shop LeVeon is that they paid him a lot to not produce what they expected. For all of Bell's healthy seasons, this past season's performance ranks at the bottom of his career, although many people blamed his quarterback and the offensive line last season. Now, over the last few months, another huge name that many have expected to be dealt away has been Cam Newton, as many teams around the league have seen what's come of the situation in Carolina. With Cam being a pretty consistent quarterback throughout his career, over 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns is what we're going to expect from a player like him. But this year's been a different type of season for him than the last 8 years. Cam missed a significant amount of time playing just 2 games this year after suffering a foot injury. Now, solely based on the fact of his injury history, this is the main factor in Carolina's trade decision as they become more comfortable in trading his huge contract to another team and just starting fresh. But during the time that Newton's been out, Kyle Allen has had his time to shine with Carolina as the starting quarterback, as some analysts believe with the performances that he's put up, he in fact could become the face of their franchise. And with that being said, Cam's stepped up tremendously despite being inactive. He's continued to assist the team regardless, and Allen's even talked about this, saying right now he's acting as a coach. He's acting as a guy who's seen a lot in this league over the past 9 years, and he's trying to help this team win. And I think you can see that's the overall theme every week. We just want to win. Whatever anyone could do in this team, whatever position they're in, they're going to do it. Cam's no different in that. So he's been really good in all phases. With Cam set to become a free agent in 2021, many teams around the league realize the situation for what it really is, and that's the fact that the Panthers look to be moving on with a new future. With Newton suffering injuries for years now, many feel it made Carolina want to take things in a different direction, seeing as they're doing better with a young quarterback. But regardless of perception, many teams around the league have shown significant interest in Cam because of his winning mentality and consistent numbers. Stephen A. Smith recently brought up the situation on First Take, and he felt there was one team in particular that should jump at this trade as soon as possible. He said, "They're flowing without Cam Newton, and I got news for you. I think there's somebody else that needs Cam Newton more desperately than the Carolina Panthers. You know who I think that team is? It's the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears should trade for Cam Newton. They need somebody with that moxie. They need someone with that athletic ability, someone with that heart. They don't need somebody that's still recovering from being booed on draft night or shortly thereafter when he went to the United Center in Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky, the number 2 overall pick, was soundly booed by the crowd there because he's not who they wanted. They wanted Deshaun Watson. You got a guy that's still trying to prove himself and recover from all that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Mitchell Trubisky. I'm just calling it like I see it. The mental makeup that he seems to have does not seem to be made for Chicago. I think someone like Cam would be better. I think he needs a fresh start. I think Carolina already has it with Kyle Allen. You roll with that. I would trade Cam Newton to the Chicago Bears. And a lot of people even clown the Bears for drafting Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. So with Carolina becoming more successful with their young quarterback under a far less significant contract, it only makes sense that Newton's the next big name on the move to this team. With Tom Brady channeling his inner Kobe Bryant and staying with the team that drafted him throughout his entire career, things have been rumored for quite some time that Brady might be heading to another organization, and it's not unrealistic. From the outside looking in, it seems like Brady and Coach Belichick have a father and son-like relationship, but that's far from the truth. Just like Aaron Rodgers did behind the great Brett Favre, Jimmy Garoppolo sat behind Brady for years and adopted his game, which is why when it came time to get rid of either Brady or Jimmy, Belichick pushed to keep the young gun and ship out the old. Although the Patriots stuck with their franchise quarterback, Belichick wasn't happy, and ever since, they've listened to trade rumors surrounding Brady. One big franchise looking toward finding a quarterback that can take them to the next level is the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr has been the quarterback needed to produce them winning seasons, but with them being injury prone and not having the experience needed to make a deep playoff run, the Raiders are looking for some experience. Since Garoppolo was traded, the Patriots would need a quarterback that's good enough to be taught by Belichick, which makes perfect sense for the Raiders, as Derek Carr is only 28 years old and he's been in the league since 2014. Although Brady has repped the Patriots for as long as he can remember, he recently spoke about the trade rumors and he said although many great players have stayed with one team, even the all-time greats switched teams like Michael Jordan headed to the Wizards, Brett Favre heading to the Jets and Vikings, as well as Randy Moss playing for many teams. But Brady finished his comments by saying, "This is sports, so whatever happens, happens." With Stephon Diggs proving his worth in Minnesota, being the star wide receiver, as well as catching a pass against the Saints that won him a playoff game in 2017, his place in the Vikings might not be secure with all the rumors surrounding his name. Stephon's put on a show over the last 3 seasons, leading the team in receiving, yards after catch, and even single-handedly winning them games. Diggs expressed his frustration with the team after hearing trade rumors fly around right before the trade deadline, but right after the rumors, his production started to fall with him being targeted less each game. This is often a sign of an early exit from a player when a team starts to utilize who they think is the next best star, which in this case is Dalvin Cook. NFLHub. The main team looking to acquire Diggs are the newly revamped Ravens, who went on a tear this past season with young stud Lamar Jackson. Many NFL analysts said the reason the Ravens didn't win the Super Bowl this year was due to Lamar having to use his feet more often than he liked to because he only had one good receiving option. The Ravens would love to pair Diggs up with last year's first-round pick Hollywood Brown, who'd already been named the fastest player the NFL's ever seen. Diggs was asked directly at the end of last season about the trade rumors, and he replied saying, "There's truth to all rumors. I won't be speaking on that." One NFL analyst recently spoke about the Ravens looking to pick up a big name like Diggs, and he said, "Baltimore's quite aggressive when it wants to get something done. The next step is a continuance of building around Lamar Jackson." The Ravens developed the greatest ground game of all time last season. The wide receiver corps need a bit more work though. With Odell Beckham Jr. having the worst season of his career, he's looking to join a team that will use him to his full potential. OBJ actually sat down for an interview where he talked about the move sending him from New York to Cleveland and how he felt about it when it first happened. He said, "My initial reaction was not disappointment. I felt disrespected. Like after everything I've done for them, this is me being honest. This team has not been good for the last 6 years, period. Even the year we went to the playoffs and everyone was talking this and that and we went there and I didn't have a great playoff game. Don't get me wrong, I had a terrible game, but I left the game with 7 targets. And I was supposed to be your #1 receiver. I left the game with 7 targets. We lost. They scored 40 points. It's just all bad. I felt disrespected because I felt like I was a main reason of keeping that brand alive. They were getting primetime games, still as a 5-11 team. Why? Because people wanted to see the show. You want to see me play. That's just real rap. I'm not sitting here like it's because of me, but let's just be real. That's why we were getting primetime games. I felt disrespected they weren't even man enough to sit me down to my face and tell me what's going on. Now, despite this past year being a down year for OBJ, many realize it's solely based on the situation. He's playing for an inexperienced team that doesn't really have championship aspirations heading into this new season. But with that being said, many contenders will gladly make a run at them sooner than later. The Patriots just lost 2 star receivers in Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon. Obviously, even with that going down, the team has a great supporting cast around Tom Brady, and they continue to excel being one of the top teams in the entire league, like every year. But New England is no stranger to scooping any star talent they can, as we've seen in the past years, and that's exactly why Beckham is on their radar. Years ago, the Patriots were already trying to make a run at OBJ when he was still with the Giants, so it's no surprise they have significant interest once again. Odell actually addressed these rumors recently and even said, 2 or 3 years ago, there was this whole speculation and all that was going on, and I was willing and ready to go there at any point in time. That was always a dream of mine, to play for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. But Odell's continued to praise the organization over the years despite never playing there, which made it very clear where he'd like to end up. He gave high praise towards Tom Brady, especially when he said, "Hey, you know, like I say, Tom Brady is the GOAT. I know we've done some GOAT cloning and I think there's something going on. He's not human. He's playing the way he's still playing. He's mentally prepared every single game, decisive decisions. He knows how to manage a game. He plays offense and defense with the way that he plays. He's very smart. He's one of the best to ever do it. I don't think anybody can really argue it. He's just the greatest. I definitely want some of the water that he's drinking." Hopefully that's what everyone, I know for me as well, we all aspire to be like. And Odell even gave high praise toward the legendary coach Belichick as well, and he said, "He's a coach that I've looked up to for the longest time, and I have a love-hate relationship with him because they've beaten every and any team I've ever wanted to win in the Super Bowl. The only team I ever followed was the Rams, when they were the greatest show on turf, and I was like, team I was watching as a kid. I loved them, so I was always rooting for them. So going against Bill Belichick, this is somebody that I have so much respect for." Now, with Antonio Brown constantly being surrounded by headlines all year long for a list of many reasons, there's no doubt that he's still valuable, and many teams recognize this, which is why so many are looking into signing him the first chance they get. Now, obviously, him initially being traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Oakland Raiders was one of the biggest moves leading into the new season, but it didn't even make it to then, as he was released and immediately picked up by the New England Patriots. But once again, with plenty of controversy surrounding his name at the beginning of the season, he's once again released by them as well, and despite going on rants through social media on Twitter and Instagram, Antonio has emphasized that he does in fact want to make an NFL comeback, and many teams are interested in picking him up once the controversy surrounding his name fades away a bit. According to ESPN, Seattle was a team seriously interested in picking up Antonio Brown to pair alongside their star quarterback of Russell Wilson, and even he was pushing the organization to pick him, but the Seahawks inevitably went with Josh Gordon once he was recently released by New England instead. But afterwards, Brown's agent told ESPN that there's actually quite a few teams interested in signing AB once his entire process with the league is over and everybody moves forward. With the Minnesota Vikings constantly being in the spotlight for missing the playoffs by 1 game or even missing their chances at a Super Bowl by just 1 win, they've been criticized for not surrounding Kirk Cousins with enough viable passing options, since Stephon Diggs is always covered by the opposing team's best corner, as well as rumors floating around that Diggs may be shot before the start of next season. Most NFL players look for some type of outlying reason that they should be joining a team other than money, and that works in this case, as one of Antonio Brown's best friends in the league happens to be Vikings cornerback Xavier Rhodes. It's also been reported that many teams are willing to look past Brown's recent controversies over the last year due to his ability on the field, and he'd be a huge upgrade to a handful of contending teams around the league. Nevertheless, Antonio is a 7-time Pro Bowler who just a season before last year caught 104 passes for nearly 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns, so it'd be disrespectful to say that he doesn't belong on a team. But with AB looking into a rap career and potentially boxing YouTuber Logan Paul, at the end of the day, who knows what Antonio Brown actually wants to do. And although there's a lot of NFL teams interested in Antonio Brown, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with this one. Hey man, are you having a bad day? Is life getting you down? Well, do I got the solution for you? Bam, this video on the screen right here is fire, and it's definitely gonna turn your life around. Trust me, I watched this video and I ascended into the heavens. I am a god now. Okay, that's a little bit too far, I'm sorry, but this is actually a dope video and you should watch it. Please just click on it, please.